Reddit, what's the most chaotic good thing you've ever seen? I worked at a camp and I would chase people down on an ATV and dump coolers of water on them if I found out they weren't giving enough water to their scouts. My family lives in a house right behind a big strip of car dealerships. One of the more well-known car dealers from another part of the area had apparently visited the Toyota place in front of our house and dumped a bag of his trash right across from our driveway. My mom got his name from the receipts in the bag of trash. She had no clue it was that guy who's always yelling on the radio about his cars, and mailed his trash to his house with no return address with a note telling him to stop littering. Friend had an ex-girlfriend that was kind of a basket case. Was too chicken shit to talk to her, so, for some bizarre reason, gave her my number so that I could basically keep her from calling him. She starts texting me asking me if I know where he is and how she can get a hold of him. I tell her that he's in the hospital with terminal herpes. Stupid, right? She buys it and proceeds to tell her parents. Cue a call from my friend's mom asking me what I'm talking about, because the ex-girlfriend of friend called the friend's mom. I explain to her the situation and tell her to play along. She reluctantly agrees and gets her own parents to play along. The whole charade carried along for 4 hours until the friend finally got wind of it and called the ex-girlfriend to clear everything up. But hey, at least I got her to fuck off for a few hours, which is exactly what the friend wanted. Approximately 11 years ago, when I was a sophomore in high school, we had the word peace written in different languages on several of the outer windows to promote multiculturalism and general goodwill toward others. One parent decided that the word peace was a political statement, meant to protest the war in the Middle East, and demanded that the school remove all the offending window decorations. Naturally, the vast majority of us students thought it was ridiculous to politicize the word peace, but there wasn't much we could do about it and the school was forced to clean off all the windows. One night, in retaliation, a group of seniors secretly planted a giant peace sign of marigolds in the courtyard. The perpetrators were eventually caught and forced to clean up the courtyard. Originally they were gonna be charged to hire a cleaning service, but the school agreed to just make them do it instead, but there was a peace symbol shaped area of dead grass for at least the rest of my time in school. Other schools made the news for having drug and alcohol problems. Our school made the news for planting a giant peace sign of marigolds. The vice principal in middle school was a jerk to about 90% of the students and had major favoritism issues. Every time something went missing or got damaged in his office he'd immediately blame a student he didn't like, even if they hadn't been near his office in months. He has a laundry list of borderline psycho actions like making a student stay in school even thought he couldn't get his hand to stop bleeding because he mentioned it in a rude way. All in all, the place was one big power trip for him and he enjoyed bullying anyone he could. A grown-ass man bullying middle schoolers. So one day this nerdy kid came to school wearing a secret body cam. His dad was some kinda cop and he took one from him. He ended up recording a full day of this guy's cunty behavior and mailed it in to the superintendent. Holy shit. Did anything happen to the vice principal after that? Last I heard he's working in the school everyone knows as the bad school. So I went to college with this guy, Assface. He was a total creep and was always on the prowl for drunk girls to take advantage of. One such night, he preyed on a girl whose father was a member of one of the big fraternities on campus, aka very respected. The next day when Assface was walking back to his dorm from the dining hall, nibbling on a to-go corn dog, he was ambushed by the current fraternity members. They surrounded him, yelling and threatening him, making sure he damn well knew not to fuck with girls again. One of the guys had been pretty quiet, just kind of standing there menincelly. Suddenly he come at Assface and growls, "Give me a bite of your fucking corn dog." Hands shaking, Assface extended his arm and the guy took a big chomp. Anyway, Assface did not return the next semester. There was a cliff over the water, we used to jump off of in high school. It was a well-known swimming hole and sometimes meth heads would hang out there. This one day about 30 of us were there and this one guy about 65 years old, but looked like a worse version of Tom Hanks in Castaway, long nappy hair and beard, leather skin, and skinny. He had his own case of beer, but smelled of stale cigs and mold and meth. We leave him alone, he leaves us. He is just sitting at the top of the bluff watching and drinking. A group of us jump and as we are walking up the trail to the top there is a giant like 4 feet copperhead. Someone yelled out and this dude practically jumps down the rocks in 3 jumps and without even sizing up the situation, he just lunges at the snake, grabs it behind the head, lifts it above his head, and lets out the most primal scream I've ever heard. I can still perfectly see him holding that snake in his fist with its tails curling around his arm while screaming in his stained horns and matted hair. It was amazing. Edit, I guess I left out the ending. He unwrapped the snake from his arm and launched the snake out in the water on the opposite side from where we were swimming and went right back to sitting and drinking. Didn't say a word to us. We kept telling him how awesome it was and he just kept nodding. Meth is one hell of a drug. Back in the day I went to Blockbuster to get a copy of the DVD extended edition of Lord of the Rings. It was a big deal at the time and I was worried it would be sold out. Stoner clerk told me that they were sold out but that the only one we have is the copy my boss told me to put aside for him. But he's always telling me to put customers first, so here you go. Thank you, Stoner clerk. Malicious compliance. Always like. Malicious compliance is so weird, it's like lawful chaotic if such a thing could exist. Not good, but not evil, but definitely not neutral. I remember in middle school there was a lunch lady who would ever so slightly overcook cookies or pizza or fries from the snack line so that she could say that they were not suitable to sell, and then she would give them to the kids who were getting the shitty meal because they had no money in their lunch accounts. That's so wholesome. One time I was in line getting lunch with my friend, and as we're waiting in line, he started eating his apple that he got. I got up to the front and paid. Afterwards, I stood to the side while I waited for my friend to pay. Come to find out, he didn't have any lunch money in his account. Instead of letting him go into debt like I've seen countless other kids do, the lunch lady refused to let him get his food. She took the tray from his hands and dumped all the food into the trash. We were in awe. How in the world does it make sense to throw away food like that? What makes it funny though, is after she dumped his food away, I offered to pay. I think I said something snarky like, "What a waste. Go grab another tray, it's on me." The lunch lady looked so dumbfounded. A notorious grade school bully ripped my Game Boy Color with Pokemon Red out of my hands and said, "Gimme that," while I was headed to the back of the school bus. In defeat, I waddled to my seat and started to cry just thinking about how I was going to explain to my mom that my birthday gift had been stolen, but before I could let out an audible whimper, he marches back and tosses my Game Boy in my lap casually and says, "Here you go, crybaby, have a look, ha ha ha," while pocketing a Game Genie and walking away. Through hot tears I looked at my screen and saw a brand new Pokédex entry, Mew, during the height of all the playground SS&/truck rumors. I was confused and happy all at once, but just mostly glad he wasn't going to kick my butt. If you're reading this, Big Devin, you weren't all that bad after all. *edit, IA word. Side note, that bully grew up to be a fire captain in my hometown. Absolute unit, that guy. Blessings from the random number god. Like, comment, and subscribe for endless natural 20s on all your adventures.